In the year 1981, there was a game released on named Polybius. It is said that this game is an urban legend. Polybius, by its very name, was more likely chosen specifically as bait for the inquisitive and easily spooked. Polybius, originally a Greek philosopher, is known for his affinity for cryptography and puzzles. He created Polybius Clare naturally. His name itself, Polybius, means many lives in Greek, and it is said that the game was created by an unknown government agency to test mind control technology on unsuspecting civilians. It worked out very well then, so the legend goes. The game was giving the public an idea of being terrified, and for the creators, the thought of being terrified in an arcade game is adorable. Before such tales would become weaponized and mutate into the far more dangerous genre of conspiracy theories, the urban legend game Polybius gained popularity on February 6, 2000, when a listing for the game popped up on coin.org, a digital museum and database for arcade games. The game was copyrighted in the year 1981, but no such copyright exists. Polybius has gone on to be the subject of television shows, music videos, documentaries, and extensive investigations. An episode of The Simpsons, and it becomes a real-life purchasable game. Mark Bachusek was the programmer of the game Polybius. He had studied Greek mythology at Masaryk University. He came up with the name because it sounded quiet and bold and mysterious. They played the game for hours and hours, and it was certainly an addictive game that was well loved professionally and recreationally by all that people who played it. They received a phone call that concerned the company that the basic graphics of the game, which featured prominently in so many other games of the time, were fine for the average gamer to spend hours at a time without noticeable physical or mental detriments. All that was from a Stephen Roach documentary. In the urban legend game Polybius, people said that it will give you amnesia, seizures, insomnia, night terrors or nightmares, and hallucinations. But it might be a hoax because it was said that there are people who got sick while playing the game Tempest, which is like Polybius. It's just like Polybius game. In addition to that, it is truly that the game Polybius was addicting and hypnotic and dangerous, especially if you played it too much and non-stop. But there is a theory about two teenage boys who have experienced the side effects of this game. They also said that they were kidnapped, but professionals said that this game was caused by psychoactive effects. Those are the properties of the game. It has a negative impact on health, and they even had a speculation that this game might be the reason for the death of a teenage boy in Titusville, Florida.
So, sa book na to, makikita nyo kung ano nga ba ang Polybius at bakit ba ito naging part ng urban legend. What makes it a legend ba? So, first, I will talk about kung ano nga ba ang urban legend. Urban legend refers to a type of contemporary folklore consisting of stories typically relayed by word of mouth. Urban legends are sometimes circulated deliberately as hoax for entertainment purposes or financial gain. Urban legends have their basis in reality but are often exaggerated or distorted with a purpose to entertain, scare, or prompt social reform. So, ang urban legend daw is a story na word of mouth or papasa-pasa, parang may dagdag bawas na. Parang, kung sa Filipino term, para sa atin, ang urban legend is, tinatawag natin kwentong barbero. And, ang stories daw ng urban legend ay based on reality, parang may katotohanan siya, pero ino-OA nila yung kwento para manakot ng tao or to entertain people na rin. So, ang Polybius ay nirelease daw noong 1981 dahil walang proper research or rumored lang na noong 1981 daw siya nirelease at sobrang addictive daw to ng game na to noon na nakaka-experience na sila ng seizures, amnesia, insomnia, night terrors, and hallucinations. Na-experience daw nila yung ganitong klaseng side effects dahil daw sa psychoactive properties ng graphics ng game. And dahil nga sa negative impact ng game na to sa health ng tao, ito yung naging cause of death ng isang batang lalaki sa Florida. Dahil nga sobrang sikat ng game na to noon, madaming umangkin na sila daw yung may gawa ng game or part sila ng Polybius. Inintroduce daw nila yung game na to sa mga kumpanya, kaso meron daw isang lalaki na nagkaroon ng epileptic seizure, kaya nag-back out yung company, kaya hindi nila na-close yung deal.
So, ang analysis para sa case study na to na about sa Polybius game is isa lamang siyang urban legend. Ngayon, bakit nasabing urban legend? Kasi wala naman talaga makakapagpatunay or makakapagbigay ng concrete evidence na itong larong to ay nag-exist talaga. At ang pananiniwala, ang unang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng Polybius game urban legend is nung back in 1981 sa Portland, sa same day, may dalawang gamer na nagkaroon ng unnecessary sickness habang naglalaro sila. At yung dalawang gamer na yon, naglalaro ng Tempest at ng Asteroids. Ngayon, bakit sila nagkaroon ng sakit? Kasi they are trying to beat a specific world record at kumbaga 28, sabi dun sa news or sa documents, 28 hours na silang naglalaro doon, which is nag-cause na ng migraine dun sa isa at stomach pain naman dun sa isa, which is talagang totoo naman na kapag ganong straight ka based dun sa nangyari dun sa dalawa is makakaramdam ka talaga ng sakit. At dun pinaniwala ang nag-umpisa na a game called Polybius game na makakapagpa-trigger or makakapagbigay ng sakit sa mga taong naglalaro nito. Yun nag-umpisa yun. Tapos meron ding pang evidence or may mga haka-haka din rather na nagsasabi na kaya rin binuo yung concept ng Polybius. Meron din doon na nagsabi na talagang back then nung yung Polybius game, nung sumikat siya, talagang nagkaroon ng cult-like na parang maraming tao yung naintriga sa larong yon na kung bakit sila magkakaroon ng sakit o parang mawawala sila sa wisyo kapag naglaro sila doon. So parang something doon sa environment back then na talagang sa mga nagpapakurious sa mga tao na there's a specific game called Polybius game na kapag nilaro mo is mawawalan ka sa tama ulira, ganun.
Irrespective of whether problematic video gameplay can be classed as an addiction, there is now a relatively large number of studies all indicating that excessive online gaming can lead to a wide variety of negative psychosocial consequences for a minority of affected individuals. In addition to the reported negative psychosocial consequences, some also reported many health and medical consequences that may result from excessive gaming. This included epileptic seizure, auditory hallucinations, sleep abnormalities, and repetitive strain injuries. Taken together, this relatively long list of potential psychosocial and negative medical consequences indicates that excessive online gaming is an issue irrespective of whether it is an addiction. It also suggests that more extensive recognition by the medical community is needed of a wide range of the potential negative and life-limiting consequences of excessive gaming. The Polybius is derived from the name of a Greek philosopher Polybius, which is he loves puzzles, mazes, clues. In relation to that, since the game is no evidence and purely urban legend, we should report on what we can verify through hard evidence and first-hand witness accounts. Because if we will trust word of mouth without looking at the evidence, it may cause a lot of trouble, like misunderstanding, disbelief, and sometimes might lead to trust issues, which is part of our mental health. If we apply Polybius in real life situation instead of what we saw on social media or what we heard from someone, especially if we don't know the true context or the other side story, better is to weigh the situation first, do some research first.
In the year 1981, there was a game released on the name Polybius. The game was never released for public play, and details about the game are scarce. The only accounts come from a few players who describe its gameplay as similar to Tempest, Missile Command, or Asteroid. It is said that this game is an urban legend. Polybius, by its very name, was more likely chosen specifically as bite for the inquisitive and easily spoke Polybius originally is a Greek philosopher. The alleged original Polybius arcade game does not exist, which catalogs urban legends conclude that the game is a modern-day version of 1980s humors of Men in Black. This led to the hypothesis that the government was hosting some sort of experiment and sending to the players magazines and mainstream news of the early 1980s make no mention of Polybius. Aside from the mock-up cabinets and games inspired by the myth, no authentic cabinets or ROM dumps have ever documented. Ben Silverman remarked, "Unfortunately, there is no evidence that the game ever existed, no less turn its user into bubbling lunatics. Still, Polybius has enjoyed cult-like status as a throwback to a more technological paranoid era." But the bottom line is that there is nobody in the vintage arcade community who openly claims to have or to have ever seen an actual Polybius. All the issues of the Electronic Games magazine from 1981 to 1984 are available online and contain not a single mention of the game. In fact, people could find no print reference to the game at all prior to 2003 when the urban legend was described in GamePro magazine. This essentially nails the lid on the coffin of the suggestion that Polybius ever actually existed, but it's not.